Don't wait, reserve your copy of the Cyberfuck Blood Honey mugshot variant now. Link below. And maybe it didn't start there, but it's definitely where I first noticed it. Hey, welcome to Comic Artist Pro Secrets. My name's Ethan Van Sciver, and before we begin this video, if you would be so kind as to like this video, maybe share this video, but most importantly, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and join this channel. Help me push back against the algorithm and grow this channel, grow Comicsgate, and appreciate you guys. You're the best. Alright, so this article today from IGN, Alan Moore says he's asked DC to send all of his future adaptation royalties to Black. Okay. Why don't you just flush it down the toilet? Hey, yo, we ballin' with that Rorschach money, G. Word. Hell yeah. Black Lives Matter executive accused of siphoning $10 million from dummies like Alan Moore, where they go and they build enormous mansions and party and stuff like that. Very, very interesting. Now, when it comes to Black Lives Matter, what is my stance? Of course, Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. If black people feel like their lives are in jeopardy, or they're less protected or considered when encountering the police, well, that's a substantial problem with society, and that's something that I definitely have empathy for. But Black Lives Matter is just another communist front group with a very noble sounding name. This is the way communists have always been. They have incredibly noble, wonderful, hey, look, we're the American Peace Mobilization. We're the Abraham Lincoln Brigade. We're the American Youth Congress. We're the American Youth for Peace and Democracy. They're all communists, every single one of them, with a name that makes it so that you can't really argue against them, because if you say, this looks like a scam to me, this looks like a front for communism to me, then they go, well, what do you think, black lives don't matter? That's the way communists are. It's very silly. But Alan Moore, listen, it's his money. He could do whatever he could do whatever he wants with it. Now, Alan Moore, a great writer from the 1970s and 80s, wrote Watchmen, V for Vendetta. Maybe you've seen that movie. Maybe you've seen the other movie, From Hell, he did, which was really good. I mean, the Hughes brothers made that movie. Fantastic film. But he's had a he's had a bee in his bonnet and a bug up his butt at DC Comics ever since the Watchmen. And the reason why I talk about feminine, bitchy, prima donna behavior, this guy did Watchmen under the auspices that it was a work-for-hire agreement, that everything that he was going to create would belong to DC Comics. But because he was a well-respected and valued piece of horse flesh, if you know what I mean, he was able to say to DC Comics, guys, listen, I don't want my British accent, I don't want any merchandising of Watchmen. It's too important. It's far too important. This is a statement I'm making about superheroes and society, and therefore, let's hold the merchandising. Now, Watchmen went on to become incredibly, incredibly popular, and I think DC Comics gave Alan a handshake kind of agreement about that. They sort of agreed verbally to not make merchandise. This is what I heard from DC Comics. I heard this right from the horse's mouth. And what ended up happening was somebody over there kind of said, wait a second, who said what to who? No, we're going to make a Watchmen wristwatch. Why wouldn't we do that? We're going to take the little smiley face logo with the blood on it or whatever it is, and we're going to put that right on a wristwatch, and we're going to sell that to fans because people want Watchmen merchandise. And it did very well. And Alan Moore saw this. He saw it as a huge betrayal. He threw a fit, and he vowed never to work for DC Comics again. And he hasn't. It has been since 1986, 87, all the way till now, current day. It's been decades, and Alan Moore has not come back. And DC Comics, aside from that one little, what you would call slip-up, has not repeated that mistake. They have not made any more Watchmen merchandise until they finally realized, somewhere 2006, 2007, I was working there at the time, they said, guys, I don't think Alan's ever coming back. Why are we keeping promises to this Moonbat? Why are we Why are we not making money? Like we're allowed to make money. We own Watchmen. We can do whatever we want. And since he's not coming back here, who cares what he thinks or how he feels? And they decided to just go full speed ahead with the diss and the disrespect, the icy cold DC hand of disrespect. They had Jeff Johns and others get together and bring back Watchmen comic books. I believe they made Watchmen toys. They made a movie. They made a TV show. They did all of these things just to further rub sand into Alan Moore's vagina. He was very, very upset about all this stuff, and maybe rightfully so. You know, he did have that little handshake gentleman's agreement, but see, most fellas would go, this is a work for hire thing. I'm creating content and characters for a big company. It doesn't really matter that much. Let me just agree to take my royalties here, build some wealth for my family and future generations, and just go along with the scam and the joke that is work for hire. Alan refused to do that, and again, to DC's credit, like I said, they mostly played ball with him because in comics, feminine prima donna behavior is rewarded. It truly, truly is. So now he's saying they made a bunch of movies, and here's this article like we're talking to Alan Moore and finding out what he's doing now. My goodness. What is Alan Moore doing? I don't really feel with the recent films that they have stood by what I assumed were their original principles. I'll try to get the voice. Hold on. So I asked for DC Comics to send all of the money from any future TV series or films to Black Lives Matter. That is hilarious, dude. It could have been any charity. And you really think about like how hateful this is in a way. It's meant to be kind of like, well, that's nice. No, you're sending it to commies. You could, if you actually weren't somebody who hated the world, you could take your money and you could either give it to not just your fellow creatives, which is what he was doing before. Initially, he said, let me disperse any royalty money that I get for this, amongst Dave Gibbons and everybody else who worked on the book who's receiving royalties for it. Just take my money and give it to them. That's okay. That was noble. But now he's yanked it from them, and he's just said, give it to this Communist Front organization, whatever. He could think about this. Like, if he cared about black lives and black kids, why wouldn't he donate it to some, college fund to privilege African Americans or just, black people? African American, the guy lives in England. But people of color, as they say on the left. Why wouldn't he do that? Why wouldn't he try to help the world and make it better? If Black lives truly matter, in Alan Moore's opinion, there are millions of actual worthy charities that would make the world a better place through education. And he could be donating tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars to those organizations. But instead, no, this is all about spite and stupidity. And again, just sort of holding a very feminine grudge for decades. All right, he doesn't care about money, he says. Big deal. This is a nice little humble brag. When people say they're not really interested in money, it means I have plenty. It's actually, in a way, it's pretty spiteful. I got plenty of money. I don't care. I know that whatever your problems are and your struggles, you're watching me kind of piss this money away, and that probably aggravates you a little bit, but I don't care because I'm rich and you're not. I kind of like it when I see wealthy people who are just still concerned about their money, because you should be. There are people in the world who are going without, and feel free to donate it to organizations to help poverty if that's what you want to do. To donate it to hospitals and to schools and things like that. But donating it to radical left-wing charities is that have nothing to do with this book in particular. This is it seems spiteful, and it seems wasteful, right? It seems kind of apropos of nothing. He says, I've become used to a more virtual world, and I've kind of forgone public appearances, partly because I'm a bit old and doddery, and as I get older, as you can see, I get more unsightly. Don't we all? But you know what? Frank Miller is still doing it. He's out there. But also, I was finding at comic conventions more humble bragging, more feminine humble bragging here. I talked to people, and they were looking at me like they were having some sort of religious experience rather than an ordinary conversation. Alan, this is a humble brag. people who are meeting you are fans. You're famous. Your work has influenced them and made them happy. They're not having a religious experience. You are not God. They're meeting a celebrity that they really enjoy, an author who they never thought that they would get to meet and talk to them and tell them how they feel. Translating that to a religious experience just kind of shows you where we're at. Delusions of grandeur, feminine kind of attitude, holding grudges for decades. Feminine, absolutely feminine. All right, so anyway, and he's denigrating comics. They're called graphic novels now. This is an interesting thing that I kind of agree with him about. He's saying, what appealed to me most about comics is no more. And these innocent and inventive imaginary superhero characters from the 40s, 50s, and 60s are being recycled to a modern audience as if they were adult fare. So, again, this is inevitable. As we get older, we think that what the younger generation is doing to comic books is for the worse. Listen, I like the adult fare that he's calling it, which is just superheroes that are a little bit more sophisticated. The stuff from the 40s, 50s, and 60s is charming, but it is pablum. It's for children for the most part. That stuff was written for little kids. Those little kids kind of grew up and they still love those superhero characters, so more adult fare. And by the way, Alan, you're responsible for this. Mr. Moore. You are responsible for this. You're one of the main guys in the 1980s who's responsible for taking silly, fun superheroes like the Charleston characters and making them dark and dreary and depressing and giving them more adult problems, right? So that's on you. You actually contributed to that. You made this monster. Moore has, of course, famously hated all adaptations of his work. Sir, we are in 100% agreement. I've hated The Watchmen, the TV show The Watchmen, and V for Vendetta, all garbage. Just, to me, boring. I know people disagree. That's fine. If you like all that stuff, that's fine. I really found them tedious. But again, there's something kind of like prima donna, snotty, feminine about being super hateful of the adaptations of your own famous work. You know what I mean? Like, listen, if I became an old man and somebody made a Cyber Frog film and it was close enough, and V for Vendetta is fairly close, Watchmen, pretty true to the source material, and I was just like, oh, I hate all that. That's just rubbish. I can't even watch it. That would be me being a dick. I would kind of try to like it, or I would be amused by it. I think I would enjoy anybody's interpretation of Cyberfrog as long as it's stuck to, the source material as best as it could. He says, I would be the last person to want to sit through any adaptations of my work. Second to last, Mr. Moore, I would be the last, the official. You would be the penultimate. I would be the last. It's all bad, dude. All of it's bad. He says, from what I've heard of them, it would be enormously punishing. I agree. It would be torturous and for no very good reason. Well, the truth of the matter is that you and I are different from most people because a lot of people really like the films that you're making. They're generating money for Warner Brothers. And you're just going to throw that money over to these, in my opinion, hoaxsters or con artists, communists, and there's some evidence to suggest that is true. This is just one of many articles exposing Black Lives Matter and what they did with the all of the money, the donations that came from well-meaning people who agree, like I do, that Black lives do matter, just like all lives matter. Look, you're you're giving at least a handful of people a much better lifestyle. Much better lifestyle. They're building mansions and palaces and stuff, having a good time with your money. Anyway, thanks. Let me know what you think of this video. How do you feel about Alan Moore donating to Black Lives Matter? Cool with you? Not cool with you? Silly? I just, it's funny because it's like all of these guys are sacred cows. To me, their behavior is cow-like and, oftentimes silly. I don't really know. I think at this point I still admire John Byrne because he just keeps to himself and hates everybody. But at least he keeps to himself, and I think he still takes and cashes the paychecks that get sent his way. Respect. Thanks everybody. Leave me a comment. I read all your comments, and I'll see you again soon with another video. Take care. Follow All Caps Comics on Twitter or X or whatever at CyberFrogHD, and be sure to check out all our links in the description below. the comic book industry as a whole is particularly susceptible to the left-wing virus, and I think it's largely because feminine prima donna behavior, the bitchy wheel gets the grease. And, behaving like a man, behaving with any degree of masculinity, tends to get you ignored or even shunned. And I think it all kind of started with this fellow. Hello, my name's Alan Moore. This is where this is where it all began.